everyone. Welcome to the Real Estate Show for the month of March 2015. My name is Joe Brett. I'm a broker with RE/MAX Ideal Brokers in Medford.
And I'm Pete Belcastro with John L. Scott in Ashland. And hey, thanks for joining us on our March show. Well, you know, the market is moving along here, as you know, in the last few months, it's been a seller's market. Tonight, we're going to find out, is that really continuing as we go into the busy months of spring? We've got great guests, usually the top people in the real estate industry in Jackson County with us to share tonight.
We're going to have a market watch, Pete, first off in our first segment. That's going to tell us that it's been a pretty robust bunch of activity through the typically quiet months for real estate. We've sold more homes over this 3-month period than a year ago. Inventory's a little down. Things are kind of moving towards the seller's direction.
It certainly is. In our second segment tonight, the Valley Association of Realtors and the Southern Oregon Multiple Listing Service. What does that mean for you as consumers to have professional organizations? Well, we're going to talk to the two presidents of those groups with us in our second segment tonight. You know, this show is on KMED AM 1440 and FM 106.7 every Saturday at 11 o'clock and Sunday morning at 9 o'clock. We invite you to join us there. You know, all of our shows, you can see them at realestateshowOregon.com or on YouTube as well. Well, look, we've got a great show lined up for you tonight, so we're going to get out of here and come back, and we'll start the real estate shows right here next on RVTV.
Hey everybody, welcome. This is the Real Estate Show for the month of March. My name is Joe Brett. I'm here for our first segment tonight. As usual, it's going to be our Market Watch segment. We're going to give you a snapshot of information on our local real estate market. One of our missions here is to keep our local viewers and our local real estate consumers up with what's happening in your local market. There are a ton of places to get that information, so we make sure we get that to you each month. We also have a great panel lined up to join us for this Market Watch segment. They're going to tell us about real estate sales from the brokerage side of things, from the new home sales side of things, and from the mortgage end of things, which should cover pretty much all our bases. And without further ado, let's introduce our panel that's here for the show tonight. Right across from me is the owner of RE/MAX Ideal Brokers and our principal broker, Bob Gervais. Welcome, Bob.
Good morning, Joe. Good morning, everybody.
Good to have you back. Next to
Good
Bob,
to be back.
Next to Bob is Brad Bennington. He's the CEO of the Jackson County Homebuilders Association, or the Homebuilders Association of Jackson County.
Yes, we are.
Good to have you back as well.
Oh, great. Good to be here, Joe.
Staying busy, building more new homes.
We're trying to build them as fast as Bob sells them, and we're just doing our best to keep up.
We're going to talk about that too, because we could use some help in that building phase of thing here going forward with the labor market as well. We're going to touch on that tonight for sure. And Guy Giles is with us from Sun Funding. Welcome back, Guy. You're our real estate mortgage expert, and good to have you back as well.
Thanks a lot.
Things are staying busy for you as well, as our market has been busy through these winter months, or so-called winter months.
Yes.
Spring like winter months. You've obviously stayed as busy as well.
We're super busy. I can't work enough days during the week right now, so blessed.
That keeps you out of trouble too.
Yeah.
We like that. That's
That's
good
true.
thing.
I haven't been arrested in weeks.
Yeah, that's really good. Hey, Bob, first off, we're going to see some statistics that indicate sales were pretty robust actually for this time period, this 3-month time period, December, January, February, compared to a year ago and to years past. Let's recap kind of what brought that on and what these favorable sales conditions, how we got to this busy winter months.
And typically, as a rule of thumb, years and years and years, if you were to calculate, the appreciation of homes in this valley, excluding our recent adjustment in the real estate market, was about 5% per year consistently. And it always started off fairly slow in January and February, and it began to move up around April, May, June, July at the top of the market, and then slide back down, kind of like the side view of a World War I helmet, if you would. But I tell you, the January and February figures have been unbelievable, and so far March has been very, very strong, way, way, way stronger than it's been in several years. And there was a while where we were very robust, and all of the only things that were selling were $100,000, $110,000, $150,000 homes, and now we're seeing several brand new homes selling in the $300,000 range, and you cannot find homes that are $100,000, $150,000 on 1 acre for $135,000. It doesn't exist unless you own a D9 bulldozer to knock the house over, because it's just not out there.
But people are finding, are people moving here? What's the motivating factor? What's the push in our sales?
Well, I brought an article that I pulled up this morning, and it comes from mortgage.com, and it talks about what are the most robust areas for real estate in our country today, and it brings up the top 14 locations. It does indicate that most of the sales taking place are not in the big cities right now, but it's taking place in areas that have between 100 and 400,000 people. I think Jackson and Josephine County have about 264,000 people in our system, so we fall in the sweet spot of that area. Right. And it also is indicating that at the top of the market, when it took its fall, we pretty much hit about 40%, or lost about 40% of our value, 38.4% or something like that. If you didn't lose money in the real estate market, you probably didn't have real estate in those years.
Pretty much, yeah.
And so it's coming back, and it's coming back at a rate just short of 10% per year right now, and they anticipate that that's going to continue till the year 2017.
For our market.
For our market here. So it is without a doubt a very good time for people to buy, that being with interest rates the way they are and prices still being lower than they were, still substantially than they were in 05 and 06. And we do anticipate the market continue to drive. So again, Medford was ranked number 1 here in the United States for the place to buy real estate.
How about that?
That's the factors of the quality of the place to live, the affordability, and the value that you'll get from your real estate purchase here. Well, that's pretty interesting. And you also said millennials are kind of coming out in force. The 20 to 30-year-olds are starting to snap up homes and starting to kind of get into the game while they can, while the conditions are getting as good right now.
I just got back this week from the RE/MAX International Convention in Las Vegas. I got smart, but I did gamble a little bit. That wasn't very smart. But our industry changes tremendously about every 5 years. In the last 10 years, it's totally different than it is now. Back then, all the information was controlled by the multiple listing service. Right. Now, most everybody can get whatever information they want in the internet, so somewhere in the neighborhood of 90% of all of the people looking for homes look to the internet first.
Wow. Right.
And that didn't used to be. So we see a lot new technology coming out to develop those kinds of leads and get them back to get that professional information to the buyer when they come see a real estate agent. Yeah. But in that whole process, you have that whole tech world, and I still use a day planner. Now I do not email now still, okay. And but the younger folks are just incredibly good with high-speed information.
Yep.
And the millennials, they want it now. I mean, they ask a question, they don't want it answered 3 days from now.
Yep.
And somewhere in there, just short of 40% of all the homes in the next few years are going to be purchased by those folks. And so we see a real strong market for those people coming into the market because their parents or they're getting coached by their friends that are saying, hey, it may think it's going to get better, but you know, with interest rates the way they are and inventories the way they are, we certainly don't anticipate another major drop in the near future in real estate. So you may be wise to buy that home because if interest rates go up about 1% or 2%, it costs you getting into that house.
Yep. It will. Your affordability index goes right up with that, and you can be priced right out of the game if you're in that first-time homebuyer category. Guy, are you seeing some of those millennials? Or who's coming in for mortgages? Who's buying homes through Summit Funding in our Medford Rogue Valley area?
If I try to, I'm doing a lot of veterans loans the last month. So I mean, there's a ton of people. I just did 2 today and 1 yesterday. But it's all ages with me. I mean, I'm still getting a lot of retired people that are moving in here from out of state. People are kind of finding out about our weather around here and moving in. I'm getting some younger people, and it's kind of funny because they seem to get it right now. The young ones that come in, I had a couple of them just really sit down, and we kind of went over a budget and did everything, and they decided, you know what, this isn't really necessarily in our budget right at the moment, and I never heard that coming out of young people before. So I think even if a lot of them didn't experience this stuff firsthand, they learn from it. And you know, these kids are, well, light years ahead of where I was when I was their age. But it's kind of nice to see when I do get the younger ones in there, they're not just like, hey, what kind of a crazy program can you get me into the biggest, fanciest house? You know, they've got a budget. And so it's a mix. I mean, I couldn't say they're old, young, you know, whatever. It's a little bit of everybody right now.
Pretty steady stream, though.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a good thing. It
is busy.
Indicative of a robust market that we have right now. New homes, we are continuing to try to put them up as fast as you said, Bob, and the rest of us can sell them.
Yeah.
How's that coming, Brad? How are the new home builders holding up with the demand, which we know is pretty prevalent right now?
Well, you know, our members represent about 70% or 75% of the new home construction market, so we're right in the thick of it all the time. And the good news is, and we've had this discussion before, is that because of lots that went back to the lenders, you know, during the crash, those got recycled by the lenders. We had other developers buy those lots and are able to build brand new homes and price them where they can still find comparable sales. You know that, and this is where Bob and Guy and I all kind of meet common ground. Is the comps are what drive this market. If you can't get a comp, it's very difficult to have a customer. So, because of the affordability of these recycled lots, we've got beautiful brand new homes that are affordable that you can actually find comps for, but that's coming to an end. As these lots are built out, unfortunately, that's a trick you can only pull one time.
Right.
So the thing is that we do have, and Bob hit the nail on the head, we have a high demand area. We know that Oregon was the #1 destination state for 2014. We know that Southern Oregon has become a retirement mecca. And the other thing that we know is that prices are going up, and they're going up for a lot of reasons. And some of them, most of them actually are cost-driven reasons, not market-driven reasons. Sometimes the market drives cost. We know that the Oregon legislature and the governor is going to sign into law, if she hasn't already, is this new carbon tax. This carbon tax is going to increase the cost of everything. It's going to increase the cost of every product. It's going to increase transportation. It's going to increase installation. It's going to increase everything. And the market hasn't reflected that yet, but it's going to, and because it's going to be implemented quickly, this tax is going to start impacting the market probably within the next 3 to 4 months.
What is the intended benefit of the carbon tax? Because it strikes me as...
Well, that'd be a discussion you'd want to have with our friend Mr. Buckley, because he was one of the sponsors of the tax. Because I've read it and I don't see really how it helps Oregon that much. But we're not going to get political here. But that's a cost-driven factor that we can't do anything about. The other thing that we can't do anything about is the fact that the cost of products is going up. Concrete costs more money, PVC pipe costs more money, lumber costs more money, nails cost more money. These are cost-driven factors. So this is why if you have someone who's thinking about buying a home, to my way of thinking, new homes are the best values they are. For one thing, one of the things that's coming down the road are energy performance scores for homes. Just like you have miles per gallon for automobiles and you want to get more mileage than less, energy performance scores are a way to find out if this home is going to cost less to heat and maintain over time than this home over here. And that is a real thing. We've been working on developing that at a state level for many years, and that's coming to town. So when someone buys a new home, they're getting the latest state-of-the-art technology. They're getting the most manageable cost of maintenance over time, and you just love putting someone in a new home because they're not going to have to do anything with it for at least 10 years in most cases. So the good news is there's just all these positive factors, but they have to act quickly because we're coming toward a cost bench, where these really affordable, well, you heard Bob say it, just a short time ago you could find affordable housing, and the affordable housing is now gone. So that's where we're at.
And we're going to see in our statistics in just a moment that the median price of even new homes is starting to come up kind of with the rest of the market.
Because of these cost-driven factors. In other words, the home builders are not making more money. These are cost-driven factors that we can't do anything about, and it's pushing these prices up. We wish it were not the case, but we can't help these things.
Right.
Can I make a point along with that? I'm not sure people understand how important home sales affect our current market here, our way of life here.
Our overall economy.
And an overall economy, because for every home that is sold, new and used, as a rule of thumb, it touches about 26 different families, everything from the contractor to the cement guy, the roofing guy, to the escrow officer, to the lender, on and on and on and on. And all of that, for the most part, stays right here in our community.
That's right.
And it underwrites our community, and it's very, very important. So when we see something that's going to get a wrench thrown in there, we say, take it a little easy here, because we need to continue that growth pattern for the well-being of our economy here locally.
And Brad, you've made a good point on our radio show of these new, more energy-efficient homes.
Right.
Oftentimes save you that money that helps you make that house payment, helps you keep your monthly bills all in line, and can, over the long term, can really add up to a lot of savings.
Well, anyone who's ever bought an older home, and you may know somebody who has, you might even know somebody who owns an older home, and there's this thing called maintenance that under certain circumstances can just eat you alive. And if you own a home that's older than 1978, you also fall under the lead-based paint rule. So anytime you have a contractor come and work on that home, you've got to observe that lead-based paint rule, and often that adds an awful lot to the price of the work. So buying these brand new energy efficient homes with all the modern technology really is the way to go if you can afford to get into one.
We just got to find the guys to build all these homes because we're a little short on our labor force right now.
Oh my gosh.
And we need some young folks, you said,
to
come out and come into those trades.
What we need is and we need it now. We don't need it yesterday. Right now we need young skilled workers in the construction industry. We only have 4 people in the business today for every 10 that we had in 2006.
Wow. Yeah.
So we've had all this attrition, and now we have this great demand. Bob's out there selling homes like crazy, and Guy's financing them like crazy. And a lot of the guys are my age that are out there trying to build these things like crazy. And we need the young guys out there to get in the business so that we can keep up with demand.
And you think of it, for a good part of 10 years, we hardly built any homes.
That's right.
So a whole half a generation basically came without that even being on their radar, that was
right.
a viable employment option family wage jobs, good construction family wage jobs
Yeah,
that can come from that. And they're out there now. We got to get the word out.
That's right. That's Joe. That's absolutely true. And the construction jobs that are out there today are good-paying jobs. They're satisfying jobs, and they're steady demand. You know, back in the old days, you might work for a few months and be off for a couple weeks, and all those days are over for the foreseeable future. You get a good young guy out there that has skills, and he's going to be busy making good money.
I'm going to be swinging that hammer for quite a while to come.
You bet.
And we need them out there.
Hopefully a pneumatic hammer. I can add one more thing to that. We're rapidly using that dirt that was developed and taken back by banks.
Yep.
And pretty soon we're going to need some developed land, and that means that we need a little bit more. We need a banker with a sense of humor. Somebody that's willing to jump in and start financing these kinds of projects, because we're going to run out of land, right?
Well,
not land, but developed land.
The good news is that in our area, most of our municipalities participated in the regional problem-solving project. So the good news is that actual buildable land for the foreseeable future we're in pretty good shape on. But what Bob is talking about, which is absolutely true, is we have a shortage, really a critical shortage of buildable lots. And there's about a 36-month development arc to take raw land, and even if it's in the urban growth boundary, and get it to where you can build a sellable product on it. And Bob's absolutely right. That's a very critical issue right now.
We're going to have another little bottleneck there in our new home
We've got it now.
We got it now.
We are at that bottleneck now. We've got builders. We've got really, really good builders that could be building like crazy, but they're running out of buildable lots. So we need to, as Bob says, we need to find a banker that'll come in. We call those AD&C funds, acquisition, development, and construction funds. So the banks came back to the table and they said, well, if you're a well-qualified borrower, we'll loan you the money to buy a house, or we'll loan you the money to build a house. But to the developers, they said not so much. You know, we're still not persuaded about what's going on here. So if these bankers can be persuaded to get back in the game on AD&C, that would be a really important thing to do.
Wait till some huge profit margins are out there on the horizon and watch them come running. They'll be right on time when we come to that. Let's take a look at our monthly wrap-up of statistics. It's actually a 3-month snapshot of statistics of sales through our Southern Oregon region. And the first one we're going to look at existing home sales, comparing 2014 to 2015 for the months December, January, and February. This is a little bit of an indication of what we talked about. A pretty robust market through there, Bob. 419 sold compared to 364 the year before, and the median price is up. A little fewer more days on the market, but with a little more inventory, pretty understandable.
So look at that TV.
I got it. Yeah, well, we see the days on the market a little bit longer, but we also see an increase in the medium value. And the medium is basically, you know, what homes have sold for, and that what it is in the middle. It doesn't really say it's the high end or the low end or what. It just says this is median.
But pretty good growth over that 1 year time, and increase in sales as well, and up almost 20% from 2010. So the steady increase that we've charted here over the last few years shown there. New construction home sales, these are just through the multiple listing service. Some other homes, new homes, are sold outside of the MLS, but we see again a little increase there, but nice steady numbers in the number of sales, Brad, and good increase in the median as well.
Yeah. So, and we've talked about this before, but you know that median has got at least $80,000 of improvement before it gets close to where, you know, the market, anywhere close to where the market used to be. So for people that are getting in now, and everyone looks at cost, right? You know, we're all concerned about cost, but I can tell you that anyone that looks at these numbers shouldn't be afraid of getting into the market. And the other thing that's going to happen, and you'll probably talk about this later, is that when you buy a home, what you're doing is you're also locking in your cost of living for the, you know, typically people live in a home for at least 5 years, you know, some 10 years. If people are in retirement mode, they're going to stay in their homes longer. So when you buy a home and you set up your financing with a 30-year amortized mortgage, you've got a fixed cost of living for the foreseeable future that in today's numbers is very affordable. If you are in the rental market, which we saw the rental market explode, right? We saw the rental market explode. The rental market is still very firm. But you know what the rental market can do? It can go up, 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 up every year as the landlords increase their prices to keep up with the economy. So this is another reason why people really want to look at buying and owning their own home. And of course, we're advocates for new homes because we believe that the efficiency advantages are really important. But when you look at these numbers, that's the thing that I would think of if I were a young person is, how do I protect the cost that it's going to take for me to take care of my family and myself for the next 5 to 10 years? And when the prices are at these levels, it's really attractive.
And even that 2015 median that we see at 274, you said has about $80,000 worth of play still. Where new home prices were at back towards the peak.
Well, and another piece of that whole thing is I was talking to Connie in your office, Connie Muir, yesterday, and like on my house, I pay a 4.2% rate on my house, which it's a nice low rate, not as low as I'm giving other people right now, but by the time you factor in the tax benefits that you're getting from that, I did the math yesterday, and I'm paying about a 2.6% actual rate by the time I get my tax break. So for the people that are kind of on the fence, I mean, that's a huge deal. I mean, it's the difference in $1,050 that my mortgage is, actually effectively takes it down to about $760 is what I'm really paying for it. And with the vacancy so low on the rentals right now, I literally had a lady in yesterday that the landlord drove by, saw her dog in the yard, gave her a 60-day notice. Oh, wow. And yeah, so he said either add the dog to the lease or get out within 60 days, and you're just at the mercy of somebody else when you're doing that. So
the fact of the matter is, if we saw interest rates go a couple points up, then the price of that 232 would be the same as the 274 to current rate.
Right. And we may see those interest rates. We keep looking for that nudge to come. It may be on the horizon now. It sounds like, and
well,
they're not going to stay where they are forever. We know that for sure.
You know, I don't ever tell anybody to buy a home as an investment vehicle because I think that you look at it in a different way. But the reality is right now at this point in time, we're right on the edge of a fairly large step up because of these cost-driven factors that we talked about. And what that means for people that buy a home now is that within a very short period of time, they're going to have a home that automatically increases in value in a way that's going to make them really happy if they do have a need to use that equity. Because they're going to have a home that's going to be benchmarked against this home over here that was built under more expensive circumstances, but it's going to be basically the ideal same home. So for comparative purposes and for equity appraisal, they're going to have all the kind of like magic money. Almost. I mean, I shouldn't say that, should I? But it really is a wonderful time to buy a new home.
You can say that, Guy can't. Real property sales, pretty steady numbers compared to the year ago, up a little bit as well. Jackson County, look at that, all homes on the market, right where we were a year ago, 978. So we're selling a few more, but it remains a steady market for demand. Distressed properties, well, 85% of our sales continue to be normal or happy sales, and just 11% are foreclosed properties, 3.8% short sales. Just a few more of those in 2015 as we continue to just clear those out of the market, but most of our activity are with traditional sales. And I want to remind folks, big event coming up, and it's the only one this year, the only home show of the year from the Homebuilders Association of Jackson County. Brad's got details.
You bet, yeah. This is, you know, we're so fortunate here. We've got the largest home show south of Eugene. It's a wonderful home show. It's out there at the expo. It's a great venue. We're going to have over 200 vendors showing you all the, just anything that you want to look at as far as home construction is going to be there. You can talk to the people, you can see the products, you can look at windows, appliances, high-tech, heating, ventilation systems, talk to the experts. And you know what? I hear that Pete and Joe are going to be out there on Saturday doing a radio show, so you want to show up for that.
Could be a live event. We'll be live out there at the home show. And you said you had a special place for the wives where they're going to look at products and
you know we sure
buy them with wine. You said
we are. We're going to have a home decor pavilion, which is really going to be a place for probably mostly gals, probably not too many guys, but it's going to be a place to look at home decor elements. So for furniture, for indoor and outdoor furniture, for lighting, for floor coverings. It's going to be a place where they can go and have all that in one place. And the rumor is that, yes, there is going to be wine available. So the gals can really just go and enjoy themselves and visit and look at all these new decor elements that are available for them.
Wives could enjoy themselves, but how about this? If you got that kid laying around playing video games at home, you might bring him down to the home show too and hook him up with a contractor to
Yeah.
trade.
Get some work in and get some work done and learn how to swing a hammer.
Whole family event.
And it's not a virtual thing, it's an actual hammering thing.
Good idea, Guy.
Any final thoughts, guys? We're about out of time. Call Bob if you need a home or commercial property.
Appreciate it.
Brad's got all the info on new homes, Jackson County planning issues.
Yeah, Jackson, home show end of April, our benefit golf tournament June 12th, and our tour homes coming up in the fall. It's going to be great.
We'll get more information on that as well as
You
we get a little
bet.
closer. And see, Guy, while interest rates are still good, it's some funding.
I think they're still going to be good for a while.
Excellent. We'll get some folks headed your way and get some sales done for all of our transactions. That'll help our local economy and help our local builders and everybody keep moving forward. Thank you, guys. Bob Gervais, Brad Bennington, and Guy Giles for a great market watch, as usual, fellas.
Thank you.
We'll take a little time out right now, but stand by. We're going to introduce you to the presidents of the Rogue Valley Association of Realtors and the Southern Oregon Multiple Listing Service when Pete Belcastro returns for the second half of our show right after this.
And welcome back to the Real Estate Show, everyone. I'm Pete Belcastro, and thanks for joining us for our March show. You know, one of the things that I found in 8 years now of being a real estate broker is that the Rogue Valley is really blessed with professional associations in the real estate world that are leaders in our state. And I think tonight's example, I think you're going to agree with that today, because the Rogue Valley Association of Realtors and the Southern Oregon Multiple Listing Service, for example, are the professional groups that deal with real estate, and the big dogs are with us tonight. Scott Lewis is a very big dog, and Scott, of course, is a broker with John L. Scott and KDRV fame back in the day. And so, what tells people what your title is today? What do you came to a real estate broker, Scott, and like I did after TV almost.
I actually did both for quite a while. I was licensed as a broker in 2007 and have been working full-time ever since. Currently, I wear the badge of president of the Southern Oregon Multiple Listing Service, and it's just part of the entire package. We have over 1,000 members now who are licensees, and we're helping them help our customers.
SOMLS. Tell people what part of the real estate world does that really represent? Because I know people hear the term MLS all the time.
Right. The multiple listing service is a shared pool where cooperating brokers from different companies put their listings in. So I work with John L. Scott, somebody else works with RE/MAX. We agree to help each other sell our clients' properties. Right, that's the MLS. The Southern Oregon MLS is the business arm of the Rogue Valley Association of Realtors. Patrick is the president of that one. I'm helping with some of the technology and the tools and the decisions that are involved at providing great service.
Do you like it? You have fun with that?
I actually do have fun with it. I really do. I love seeing people smile and helping them solve problems, and it's very gratifying.
I see you in our office. We're in the same office together, so I know you seem like you enjoy it, and I do too. I mean, we all, so many realtors are this is their second career, as you know,
yes,
and
the majority.
you and I are both in that category.
Yeah.
But it's been a lot of fun and more enjoyable than I ever thought it was. Actually, I really do too. It was nice to have you here.
Thank
Patrick Iler is in the middle guy here. Patrick is the president of the Rogue Valley Association of Realtors, and also is the owner of Patrick Iler Real Estate as well. So Patrick, nice to have you here. You've been a realtor pretty much all the way through, haven't you? Or involved in real estate most of your life?
Well, a good portion of my career. I've been licensed since 1991.
91, okay.
And I took a break to work for the government for about 5 years in between that. But otherwise, I've been a licensed broker.
Work for the government, be on your own.
Yeah.
God, I don't know how that would, you got to get out of there.
On the scale, it works well this way, working for myself.
So, one of the things that you both have to do is you volunteer your time. I mean, you have your own businesses. Everybody has their own real estate business. But you guys also have to, volunteer a lot of time and effort to do this. I mean, why do you do it? Patrick, why do you do this?
Well, I wasn't involved with the association for quite some time. I was involved with running my business, and I came to the conclusion that I wanted to basically give back and serve my community of realtors, and so that's really why I got involved. I saw.
And you two spend a lot of time together. I mean, every time every time I see you're together, kind of at meetings, whatever. Is that true? I mean, you guys really spend several years, in fact, doing this.
We even traveled together. We went to New Orleans in November, and that was very valuable for learning about how things work and how we might be able to help our folks better. There was a piece of material provided when I first joined, and I think every member joins the board of directors, whether it's for RVAR or SOMLS, and it said, the higher you go in leadership, the more reading you can expect to do. Patrick and I are looking forward to next year when we will be past presidents and have less reading to do. We are volunteers. We have excellent paid staff at the association office. But Patrick and I are both taking care of our clients, running our business, and share that philosophy that we're big on service. And I've come up with this a couple of times. It's like playing volleyball or something. Sometimes you're at the net, sometimes you're in the middle, and then sometimes you're serving. And right now, we're the guys driving the bus, as it were.
I like that. Good for you. And thank you for your service. And if it wasn't for people volunteering for so many things, I mean, we'd be a mess. I mean, our community wouldn't be as
Very
big
true.
as it is. That's for sure. Last but not least, at the far end of our group today is Paul Shoemaker. And Paul is the Government Affairs Director for the Rogue Valley Association of Realtors, right?
Correct, Pete.
Yeah. Now, Government Affairs Director, in real estate, those two things, as you guys know, go together, oh my goodness, in terms of governments and what they want to do to real estate, because they see real estate as the easy way to tax, is my opinion on it. But anyway, so what's happening in that part of the world?
Well, locally, we are looking at some positive changes. There's something coming out of Salem. Well, it's been in the works for 3 years, but it's wrapping up here in Jackson County, and that's Executive Order 1207 from the governor's office, and that allows 3 rural counties, Douglas, Josephine, and Jackson County, to actually work on reassigning some rural land zones so people are better able to use their property for their own benefit, aside from just cutting trees or growing crops. So there's some subtle changes going on with land use zoning in those 3 counties, which is really encouraging, because if you know anything about land planning in the state of Oregon, anytime it changes to the benefit of the landowner, it's a victory. And so that's really encouraging to see that come out. And then on the state level, we're looking at some stuff coming out of Salem that not only affects realtors, but really affects the citizens at large. And there's some things going on, without getting political about the politics. There's some winds of change are blowing in Salem and the legislative session right now. They're moving a lot of stuff through really fast, so we're just trying to keep an eye on that. And then on the national level, there are some exciting things with drones. It'll appeal to you in your multimedia and videography sort of vein, and that's the National Association of Realtors is actually working to steer some executive stuff coming out of the FAA to allow realtors to use drones in a commercial capacity to better photograph and better market their properties. So
I think that would be great myself. I mean, I think that's a good idea. I mean, the drones are here.
It's really exciting.
And it's and to use them, that's what they're for. I like that kind of thing. Well, you know, there's a lot of things. I always find that government, when it comes to real estate, finds it as such an easy thing to try to tax. You know, and I mean, there's every year that every 2 years the legislature comes, you know, gets many bills, as you know, to do that. But you're watching it. And that's part of your guys' job, isn't it, is to watch that kind of stuff. Does it surprise you? Tell me what you think about that. I mean, it's about that level of the state and taxing and real estate. Why is it so easy? Why do you think it's such a target?
Well, it affects everyone, whether you're a landowner, homeowner, or a renter, because I talk to my clients and I say, if you're going to be living in a home, you're going to be making a house payment either for yourself or for your landlord. Since Oregon does not have a sales tax available and that revenue's not there, the legislators go for the landowners because, as you mentioned, it's easy, it's there. And 2 years ago, realtors led the charge to get the Constitution changed so that we would not be basically taxed twice, and we eliminated the potential for a sales tax, which was called a transfer tax. But now that's not going to happen in the state of Oregon. Other states are actively pursuing it, and realtors in those states are trying to address it. We need money, we need revenue, but already we think that the landowners are paying more than their fair share.
Well, landowners do, and one of the things that concerns me is that there's a bill up there, you know, Paul, that's somewhere in the legislative hurdle that would tie the property tax rate to a home based on the sale of a house. Right now, you know, it's not the case, and that would absolutely, to me, devastate the entire real estate market if that happens.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up, Pete. That is something they're looking at, they're kicking around. There hasn't been anything formal that I know of at this point. But what's interesting to note about that, when you reset the tax rate to the point of sale purchase or the sales price, you stand to destabilize your tax base. And a good example of this is the town of Stockton, California, that went bankrupt following the collapse of the real estate market. It was really popular in California to transform their county taxing structure where it went to the point of sale, the home value to point of sale. And when you have destabilizing factors like bubbles in the real estate economy, it caused a number of towns and small cities in California actually go bankrupt. They lost a ton of revenue because when those houses were then sold again for a third of what they had last sold for, that tax revenue just went away.
Well, I hope smarter heads will prevail in Salem and that doesn't see the light of day, because that would truly change. You know, I mean, you sell a house, and all of a sudden you have a whole new. You're selling a house, Scott. Say the property tax is $3,000. You sell the house, the property tax is going to go to $5,000 or $6,000. You got to disclose that kind of stuff, wouldn't you? I mean, that's only fair. It would make people. I can just see buyers just saying, "It's crazy." I mean, that's a bad thing, I think.
Yeah, one of the things that came up in our board meeting today that I thought was real interesting was that in other markets that have transfer taxes already in place or are working towards that, it's affecting the economy. It's affecting home sales. It's actually making an impact on the market. Whereas we've seen, for example, in Oregon, where we've prevented that, as Scott was saying, with Measure 79, our markets are doing well. So our National Association of Realtors financial analyst, Yoon, he made a comment that the Pacific Northwest is really, he's looking at that as being kind of the boom of what's going on in the country right now.
We did in one of our radio shows, Brian Pollinger from Hayden Homes, which is a kind of a large, builder. He was telling us that they did their research and all over the Northwest, and they determined that the Medford area was going to be one of the state's big growth areas, and that's why they now own like some 300 lots here, which I was real surprised to hear that from them, but they obviously have got some good information. Let me change the subject for just a little bit. And one of the things that people do, Scott, is regarding the information that agents provide to the public to see. I mean, that's kind of the big deal you do at the SOMLS. Now, tell me what's going on between Trulia. People always ask these questions, you know, what's Trulia and Zillow and this and that? And I know I've heard that there's changes coming.
Oh,
Can you tell us what's happening with that, and why should consumers care? Because of the information they get, they want it to be accurate and updated, right?
Absolutely. I could probably give you a more accurate weather forecast than I could give you a forecast of where this thing is going. There. Are you happy, Paul?
Nice.
Yeah.
Waiting.
He was waiting for that one.
You got to reference that. They reference there. Okay.
We are.
Well, right now,
the market is changing,
Okay.
and technology has allowed people to get so much information on their own before they ever contact a realtor. What's great is the internet is a good mechanism for folks to do research, but the National Association of Realtors statistics show actually more people are hiring a professional realtor to do the transaction, but they frequently find the home on their own. So the realtor's job then comes into the evaluation process, the sales process, writing an offer and making sure that all the inspections and contingencies and the more than 200 individual steps that have been identified in the home sale process, that they're being tended to, they're done correctly, that the client is protected. But the changing landscape of technology has made just huge differences in the way that real estate is bought and sold. I think it's pretty good, frankly. I think people are more empowered. It's not just the realtor who has the phone book of all the listings that may or may not be dated. It used to be the realtors controlled the power. Well, now for the associations that we're involved in, we want to make sure that that information that we're sending out is accurate, because occasionally things on the internet are not as accurate as one might like. And so that's one of the values that we bring from SOMLS.
So SOMLS sends out, say if I have a listing or if I have a new listing,
Sure.
I fill all the paperwork out, and then that information is what's sent out from you, correct?
That's
from
correct.
The SOMLS.
We have a feed.
And
that
you
goes.
send it to where? Where does it go?
Recently, I heard the numbers, something like 600 websites, but that includes, you know, Charlotte, North Carolina, which doesn't have as much interest in our stuff. But we have many, many websites. Every major website that most people go to. Zillow is huge, Trulia is huge, and they're now the same company, or they're owned by the same folks.
They're merging together,
They
I
are.
understand.
There's some legal challenges going on with Trulia, but they are big. Realtor.com is another big one.
Yeah.
And then each individual large office has its own website and portal and
apps and
Right.
everything else.
Right. So
It's a confusing landscape for consumers, I suppose,
Right.
to kind of
One of the great
out.
things that we offer from SOMLS, though, is that we're giving our clients accurate information. What happens to it once it gets sent to somebody else's computer is unfortunately beyond our control, and that's why we try to help our clients make sure that they're getting the most updated information. I think every realtor has had somebody call and say, I just found the perfect house. I look it up and it's like, sorry to tell you, it sold 4 months ago, but it's still out there in the internet.
Because the other information out there is not accurate. So what do you all recommend that consumers do to get accurate information? I mean, where should they? To me, it's locally, right? I mean, I don't want to go to Trulia. Don't I want to stay local to get my information?
Well, of course, Zillow would rather you go to Zillow.
Well, I know Zillow would.
But the most accurate information out there in that kind of form right now, Realtor.com, which realtors are involved in somewhat, is probably one of the most accurate. The first place, of course, is to talk to your realtor. Go to your local realtor sites here locally, and then that information is going to be accurate. It's updated much more often, much more frequently, and in a much better way.
I always heard it took like 2 weeks to get something from our SOMLS into like Trulia. Or to make a change, say you had a change, it takes another week or two. Is that true?
It used to be like that, but now there's a thing called syndication, which he was basically talking about. And what happens is we have agreements with some of these larger websites that we agree to send the data to them, so it's available for consumers on their websites. provided that they follow the certain rules that need to be followed to make sure the data is accurate, make sure that they correct it. So there's steps being taken, and that's what Scott was alluding to, is that we as an organization, both the Southern Oregon Multiple Listing Service and then by extension Rogue Valley Association of Realtors, one of our jobs is to make sure that consumers get accurate information.
And we're seeing, Pete, some of that information on the major websites is being updated every 15 minutes and in some cases every 12 minutes.
Wow.
So we want to make sure that it's pretty quick. But I always tell my sellers when they initially are listing it, it can take a couple days to populate out to all of the various websites. But unfortunately, some of the data goes out and it just lingers there. It's not updated. But that's part of what our association and SOMLS are doing, is to try our best to ensure that people who are logging on to whatever website are getting current, accurate information.
Our area. Yeah, that's really true. We're going to run out of time here, but I got to ask you guys, what is the biggest concern? What is the biggest issue out there that you face in your roles that you might share with us? I mean, what should we care about that you guys are all worked up about sometimes, that I know gives you no sleep at different times and all the meetings you go to?
A lot of it's what we've been talking about, is making sure that the data that our consumers receive is accurate, because it helps us do our job for them. Obviously, we want to be involved in our community, so a lot of the things that we do are in relation to that. For example, we have a food and wine classic coming up that we've been having every year now for some time, for about 5 years, I think. And it's a very successful way to generate revenue for helping the community. And I believe that goes to the Home Foundation.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. Let's talk about that just a second, because at the end of the
for example.
But that's an example. I mean, in all associations, I mean, the Homebuilders, what I really admire about them is that everyone is doing that kind of thing, giving things back into the community, and that makes it really good. Are there issues that anybody reads besides those kind of things?
In the individual home buying and selling process, there are so many details. The sales contract, when I started, was 8 pages long. It's now 11 pages long. And I was talking to a veteran realtor, and I said, you know, I've heard about the days when you could say, I, Scott, sell you, Pete, this house, this much money, love, Scott. And what he said to me is, and I promise to be able to sue you for the rest of your natural life because you didn't mention there was a cracked foundation and there were issues with the home that were not disclosed. Well, the sales contract is now 11 pages long because people have done things. So what we do as professionals is we try to protect both our buyers and our sellers and make sure that if there are any issues, they are disclosed. And if there are things that need to be addressed, we help them navigate and negotiate. I sleep pretty well. I subscribe to the tell the truth, it's easier to remember philosophy.
I do the full disclosure philosophy. I don't care what it is we're telling them. We are not going to say, no, you
but if somebody is trying to do a transaction on their own, that actually turns out to be ripe for possibility, and what we've also seen, NAR statistics, National Association of Realtors statistics, show that hiring a professional realtor actually nets home sellers more money even after they pay the realtor fees because of the negotiating power and the lack of hassle, basically.
You know, it's a minefield out there. And so one of the things that we do as an association is we provide education for our members that helps them wade through that minefield of regulations and things that are going on out there that make it hard for consumers to even buy and sell homes anymore. I mean, I'm sure you've experienced what's happening with new rules for lending.
Look at the septic rule changes that is like 7 pages added to the thing, and you have to know these things. I mean, it's changing and it's always out there. Marijuana issues are just going to affect real estate. I mean, the GMO ban is affecting real estate. I mean, it's a very exciting time to me. Rural properties in our county and around, there's a lot happening right now, and a lot of interest and a lot of activity. So that's really good to hear, isn't it?
And our members have to do continuing education, and Oregon actually requires, I think it's 160 hours before somebody can become licensed, and that's one of the greatest number nationwide. So it turns out we have a level of professionalism, and we have people who for the most part, are informed, educated, and up to speed on what the latest is, because it does change.
It does. I write about my classes on a blog on realestateShowOregon.com because it's so interesting to me, and I want people to hear what I just heard, you know, from all these issues. Well, we're going to be out of time. And Paul, before we get out of here, the Rogue Valley Association of Realtors, like so many groups, as we say, contribute back and do a lot of events during the year. You've got, I know, the food and wine. What else you got coming up also here that people may want to know about?
Well, the Food and Wine Classic's the big one. This will be our 5th year. The previous 4 years, we've raised over $70,000.
Really? Oh, I didn't realize that.
That's gone up to the Oregon Association of Realtors. They have a 501c3. It's called the Home Foundation. And then every dollar that's raised in the Rogue Valley through the Food and Wine Classic is given back to the Rogue Valley through Access. Access is the local organization used to administer those funds to at or below income level families in the valley that need to get into homes.
Yeah.
And then in addition to that, we do a golf tournament. You know, the token golf tournament.
Yeah.
You gotta love that. And another thing that we did last year through the golf tournament, we gave a $500 cash donation to the organizations up in Weed. In addition to that, after the Weed fire, we loaded an employee's long bed pickup truck full of sundry goods and drove it to Mount Shasta City and did a drop off. And I could go on and on, Pete, about how realtors are involved, but the fact of the matter is that they're the bedrock of the community in a lot of ways because they contribute over and above being business people. They really.
And I like that with what individual realtors do that you have no idea what they're involved with is truly remarkable stories, as we all have. But it's a very, it's a great business, competitive business. Business is good right now. Things are going well. The market seems to be doing well. So I guess all is good. Well, thank you, Scott Lewis. First time here at RVTV. Nice to have you here.
It was my pleasure, Pete. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll do it again. Patrick, nice to visit with you as well as
pleasure.
Paul, too. Well, that'll do it for our show here at RVTV tonight for our March show. Don't forget, we're on KMED AM 1440 and FM 106.7 every Saturday at 11 o'clock and Sunday at 9 a.m. We hope to catch our radio shows there. All of our shows are also, you can watch them at realestateShowOregon.com or on YouTube.com/RealEstateShowOregon. So for our student crew here at SOU, thank you for their support of tonight's program. You know, we couldn't do it without our students here at SOU supporting our shows. So for Joe Brett, I'm Pete Belcastro, and enjoy the rest of the evening.